Whoa. What's up, guys? I'm Josh Mills and welcome to This Week in MXA, episode number 17, presented to you by O'Neill Racing. Got a lot of hot topics to dive into, so let's get into it. So this week, we got a lot of hot topics coming from the Atlanta Supercross. Ken Roczen and Cooper Webb's legendary battle. We got Cameron Mcadoo and his insane zombie-like comeback from the Atlanta Supercross. We had that major crash on Tuesday, came back and raced. We're going to talk about his incident with Garrett Marchbanks, his incident with Hunter Lawrence, and his incident with Chris Blows off the start of the 250 main event. Starting things off, we have to talk about the 450 main event and the battle between Ken Roczen and Cooper Webb. It looked like Ken Roczen was going to win. He had a 12-second gap on Cooper Webb in the main event. And Cooper, he was doing everything he could to hold off Eli Tomac and Aaron Plessinger. And it almost looked like those two guys were going to get around Webb for second place. Towards the end of the race, Ken Roczen made a small mistake in the whoops. The beginning of the whoop started out perfectly, got kicked, went down, and he had a super simple, super easy crash. And it was so quick and fast, it seemed like he was getting up and running back to his bike before he even hit the ground. Ken Roczen picked it up. His 12-second lead went down to a 6-second lead. Cooper Webb caught up to him, but it still looked like Ken Roczen would be able to win the race. He was a lot faster in the whoop section, and it didn't look like Cooper was making up any time on him at that point. Then Cooper Webb saw blood in the water. Knowing that he had an opportunity to win the race, Ken Roczen backed his pace down, started jumping through the whoops, and ultimately lost a lot of time right there. So in the end, Cooper Webb was able to get by him. Ken Roczen left the door way open for Cooper Webb. If he would have just dived to the inside, he easily could have held off Cooper Webb for at least another corner. Unfortunately, Cooper went up the inside, Ken Roczen dove to the outside, expecting that maybe he could dive underneath and pass Cooper Webb back easily right there. Cooper Webb blocked the inside of the turn, got through the whoop section better, and pulled away to take the win. So personally, I was hoping that Ken Roczen was going to take the win so that the championship would be a little bit closer going into Salt Lake City this weekend. Ken Roczen did play it safe and settled in for second, and it seems like that's kind of been his MO this season, is to play it safe and not risk it for the biscuit when it comes to the chance of winning a main event. So now there's a 16-point gap separating Cooper Webb and Ken Roczen in the championship as we head into the final two rounds in Salt Lake City. Another hot topic from the 450 main event is surrounding Jason Anderson. Jason was the 3-time fastest qualifier in the 450 class. Qualified the best at the first, second, and third of the Atlanta Supercross races. Unfortunately, he had the big crash in the heat race at Atlanta number 2 when Alex Ray landed on him. Then he bounced back from that at Atlanta number 3, qualified fastest again. He was running up front on the start, right behind Cooper Webb, battling for the position when he decided to go double single into the corner. Dylan Ferrandis doubled into the corner, landed, hit Jason Anderson's rear wheel, caused both of them to go down. Jason Anderson then, instead of staying on the track, he was already pointed going off the track. He just got on the gas, went around the double, jumped back on, and made up a lot of time that he wouldn't have made up if he would have stayed on the track. So AMA docked him after the race, pushed him back from 11th to 14th position on the final results. Next up on the topic list, we have to talk about the 250 class and Cameron Mcadoo's wild week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. He had big crashes at the first, second, and third Atlanta Supercross races, and there's a lot of different opinions floating around, really two major ones. A lot of people are praising him for his zombie-like performances, basically coming back from the dead, coming back from insanely hard crashes that most people would never get up from, and persevering through the pain, through the suffering, through the bent up bikes, through all kinds of obstacles to overcome to ultimately finish the main event on Tuesday and then again on Saturday after having some major crashes. Then there's the other side of the spectrum where people are questioning the AMA and the Alpine Stars medical crew's decisions to allow Cameron Mcadoo to keep racing even after the beginning of the 250 main event on Saturday. Basically, Cameron Mcadoo didn't get the best of start. He started on the very inside. It's always sketchy, and we always see crashes and pileups in the first rhythm section of a Supercross race. It's just really intense. It's really tight to stick 20 guys straight into a rhythm section where they're doubling, tripling, rolling. Cameron Mcadoo came up the inside of the first turn, which set him up for the outside of the second turn as they turned right. Then he doubled to the outside. One of the Rockstar Husqvarna riders was pushing him a little bit wide. Then Cameron Mcadoo ended up into the tough blocks, shot Cameron Mcadoo across the straightaway where he was then landed on by Chris Blows. Chris, his wheels clipped the top of Cameron Mcadoo's shoulder and head, which sent Chris Blows over the bars, landing on his head and ultimately causing a red flag in the 250 main event. It was kind of sad for Chris Blose because he got almost no TV time and barely even mentioned that he was the one injured. Chris Blose, we wanted to give a little injury update on him. He got life-flighted out of the Atlanta Motor Speedway with focus on his head and his internal for injuries there. He got scans at the hospital, and luckily it was found out that he was okay with only minor injuries suffered, so that was a huge sigh of relief for everybody that knew about his injuries. Thankfully, everything came back okay, and he only suffered a few broken ribs and a broken thumb. So he said he's gonna let us know and keep his fans updated on if he needs surgery or not. We're glad to hear that his injuries are only minor after the situation, but his team manager wasn't very happy with the situation, and we have a quote from him here talking about it. The team owner of the AJE Motorsports team took to Instagram on Sunday after the race to say the following: "I sit in the hospital at Chris Blose's bedside thinking how this could and should have been avoided. I put much blame on the AMA and the medical staff. The rider who caused Chris to crash, not only today, but Tuesday, should never have allowed to be on the track. This individual had 3 major crashes, and the AMA felt it was okay to keep riding. This decision was made on the track without any real medical exam. The individual is clearly not riding in the right state of mind, and this accident and many more could have been prevented if they didn't favor certain teams and riders and did what was best for all." Obviously, the owner of the AJE Motorsports team has a close relationship with his rider, Chris Blose, so he was emotionally charged when he wrote that post, and he had a lot invested into Chris Blose and was really bummed to see it happen. We also have another complaint regarding the same issue coming from Hunter Lawrence, the HRC Honda rider who had complaints about Cameron Mcadoo after the 250 main event. Here's what he had to say. "Cameron Mcadoo nearly fell off his bike going into the sand section. I don't think he was where he needed to be, mentally or physically. He swerved right in front of me, and my only options were to either land on him or try to scrub off the track and miss him. And that's what I did, and I ended up landing on a tough block. I'm pretty frustrated about that. With that crash, to finish 2 seconds behind third place, I think I could have won considering how good I was in the whoops and how good I was feeling." Looking at that comment from Hunter Lawrence, obviously he was emotionally charged as well, as he had a lot invested into that 250 main event. Looking at the footage, it didn't look like Cameron Mcadoo did anything wrong. Yes, he did make a mistake. Yes, he did come back and block Hunter Lawrence's line. But Hunter Lawrence did grab a handful of throttle, which definitely ramped up the intensity on the situation and ultimately caused him to go off of the track. So you can't really put the blame on Mcadoo there. Hunter was behind him, Mcadoo blocked the line, and Hunter had nowhere to go, and that's what ended up happening. The next biggest highlight from Cameron Mcadoo's week in Atlanta Motor Speedway was when he was taken out by former Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider Garrett Marchbanks in the 250 main event on Saturday. After the race, Garrett Marchbanks and the ClubMX Yamaha's team manager Brandon Haas sent an email to MXA to explain their side of the situation and get their side of the story out to the public. Garrett Marchbanks said, "The 31 was riding erratically all night, and at that point in the race, he was next on the track to pass. I fully intended to make an aggressive pass and get away quickly, not wanting to ride near him. I thought I was closer than I was after I landed on the double. I wanted to get under him and stand him up in the bull turn, then be clear before we got to the next section. That clearly didn't work. I miscalculated my angle and then pushed the front tire, all while having no chance of pulling it off." Garrett Marchbanks went on to say, "I'm disappointed and sorry that it happened. I take full responsibility for the incident and should not have allowed my emotions to get the best of me." He continued later in the statement saying, "That's not how I want to ride, and time will show that as I continue to improve my racecraft and decision making." I think it is good that Garrett Marchbanks and the ClubMX Yamaha team sent out a press release explaining their side of the story, and it was good that Garrett Marchbanks at least apologized after the race. It doesn't mean much now, the damage is done, but he did say that he was sorry. And for me, speaking from experience, I am assuming that Garrett Marchbanks didn't want to take himself out in the process, so he definitely miscalculated that, and it was a bummer to see it. The ClubMX Yamaha team manager also made a statement in the press release, and here's what he had to say. "Garrett's move on Mcadoo was a poor choice, and we'll make sure he learns from this. He's an aggressive racer and wants to be at the front. If people think that he has something to prove with the Pro Circuit team, that is simply not the case. That was done and over with at round 1. It makes for good TV, but the fact remains that he is happier at ClubMX than any of his past teams." Brandon Haas continued to say, "We will learn from this to help Garrett grow and mature. People may think that ClubMX is a stepping stone so he can return to a factory team. That is also not true. In early April, Garrett re-signed a long-term contract to ride for the ClubMX Yamaha team well into the future." If you want to let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you think that Cameron Mcadoo should have been benched after the hard hits that he's had on Tuesday and Saturday? Or do you agree with the AMA's decision to allow him to keep racing? Now, in the 250 West division, Justin Cooper has a 20-point lead on Hunter Lawrence, who has moved up to second place in the championship standings. Cameron Mcadoo dropped back to third place, and he's 22 points back going into the season finale and the 250 East-West Showdown. Looking ahead to this Saturday, round 16 of the 2021 Supercross season, the 250 East Coast riders, the riders that started off the season in January, they're coming back from their long break. You got Colt Nichols and Christian Craig. They're separated by 8 points in the championship. Colt Nichols has the red plate and the points lead, and all eyes are going to be on those two this Saturday in Salt Lake City. Jet Lawrence will be there. He's going to be playing a spoiler, trying to get another win under his belt. My little brother, Michael Mosman, on the Troy Designs Red Bull Gas team, is back from injury as well. At the third round of the Indianapolis Supercross, he broke his hand in practice, so he's healed up now after breaking his hand, and he's excited to race the last 2 rounds of Supercross this weekend. Finally, Austin Faulkner, we did an interview with him in our previous This Week in MXA video. When I shot that interview with Austin Faulkner at Glen Helen, he was planning on racing the last 2 rounds. Now, we've reached out to the Pro Circuit team, and we've heard that Austin will not race the final 2 rounds, and he's going to use the rest of this time from now until May 29th to get ready for the AMA Outdoor Nationals. Also on the injured list, RJ Hampshire. He injured his wrist. He broke it and dislocated it at the Houston 3 Supercross. He won't be returning to the races this Saturday at Salt Lake City, but good news is he's back on the bike and he's getting ready for the outdoor season as well. In other news, GNCC champion and legend Kailub Russell was testing with the Red Bull KTM team, getting ready to race the Outdoor Nationals alongside Max Bowen on a factory Red Bull KTM 250. Unfortunately, while Kailub Russell was testing with the Red Bull KTM team at Fox Raceway, he had a big crash off of one of the rollers. He lost his hand off the bar, whiskey throttled into a fence where he broke ribs, knocked himself out, and even broke his jaw as well. So it was heartbreaking to see that Kailub Russell was injured, and it looks like that this is going to delay his chances of racing at least the beginning half of the pro motocross season. But Kailub Russell and Ian Harrison, Red Bull KTM team manager, both said that they're expecting and hoping that he'll be able to race some outdoor nationals this season. I'm personally really excited to see what he can do on a 250 in the pro motocross season, and it should be an exciting one to see. And other news for what the MXA Wrecking Crew is up to, I got to spend last Friday at the Gas Trials Test Track in Marietta, California, where they held the 2nd annual Gas Trials Invitational. It was super cool to see. The top trials riders in the US were there, and they put on an awesome show for us. The final 2 finishers, 1st and 2nd place, battled it out until the very last test, and it almost looked like they were going to have to arm wrestle to decide who was going to be the winner. They ended up actually pulling out the trials rule book to figure out who won the event after the guys tied on so many different levels. So let's hear from Alex Niederer and Josh Roper on their experience of tying each other and actually competing in front of a big crowd.
So we both finished on 22 points. We both had the same amount of cleans, the same amount of 1s, the same amount of 2s, the same amount of 3s, and the same amount of 5s. So they had to pull out the rule book and find out what he went to next. And it came down to the loser was going to be the person who dropped the first point. And unfortunately, that was me. I took one single point in section 1. And Josh, I think, waited until section 4 to take his first points.
Crazy. Has that ever happened in this before?
I'm sure it's happened before. It usually happens when there's less points involved. So, like, if 2 people clean the whole day or have 1 point the whole day,
yeah, that's
more common then. But with 22 points, I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
So neither of us knew who won, but when we were done, we had to go to the observer and find out who won.
It's a little bit different. We have a bit more spectators here, so all the eyes are on you on the section. So it's a little bit different than being out in the woods. Every few people would see you, but now everybody's looking at you and the whole show's at you. So it's a little bit different, but it's fun and it's really enjoyable.
It was pretty cool to hear from Alex and Josh their experiences from the event. I also got to talk to Gas brand ambassador and Trials legend Geoff Aaron about the event and about his experience with the Gas brand as well.
It was awesome, California Trials Invitational 2021. It turned out great. We had an awesome finale where the guys ended up tying at the end, and it came right down to the very last section of the event, so to determine a winner, and I couldn't ask for anything better than that.
You've been around Gas for how long?
Over 20 years now. So
crazy.
Yeah, year 2000 is when I first got linked up with Gas brand, and I've got several championships on the trial side with them, and I've seen the kind of ups and downs and arounds, and it's just really awesome to see it now just have the strength behind it and the backbone to do all this cool stuff that we're doing.
And then last question, what's it like to see Gas in Supercross?
Hey, you know, that's been a lot of fun this year. Obviously, Justin Barcia came out and won the opener, and right away it was just an instant hit, you know, so it's been awesome to follow the whole team and, you know, watch Pierce and watch all the guys, you know, Bozeman and just everybody just kind of out there and doing well, and people seem to be really liking the brand. It seems to be fresh and new and kind of punk rock.
I like it. All right, guys, so that's it for this week in MXA episode number 17. We got a lot of topics to cover in this video. Thank you guys for sticking it out. If you like this content, make sure to click the like button and comment down below to let us know your opinion on it, what you think we could do better, and what you want to hear more about in next week's video. And click the subscribe button so you can see some of our upcoming videos. We've got a lot more coming to this channel. And before you go, click the thumbnails now to see some of our latest videos.